अच्छा है। और मैं आज कुछ मुख्य समाचार आपके समक्ष लेकर प्रस्तुत हुआ हूँ। Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman on Sunday announced measures to boost manufacturing, offered long-term tax incentives for global data centers, and support for agriculture and tourism as she unveiled a rupees 53.5 lakh crore union budget for 2026-27 seen as a long-term blueprint for sustaining growth amid rising global risks. Shunning populist measures, despite five key states, including West Bengal and Tamil Nadu, heading to polls, the budget signaled continued fiscal consolidation and infrastructure spending. But a hike in securities transaction tax on equity derivatives rattled equity markets, with key indices plunging as much as 2% in the special budget day trading session before recovering some ground.
Focus on tier 2, tier 3 cities and even temple towns, which need modern infrastructure and basic amenities. This budget aims to further amplify the potential of cities to deliver the economic power of agglomerations by mapping city economic regions based on their specific.
Today's Chief Minister N. Chandrababu Naidu on Sunday welcomed the Union Budget, describing it as forward-looking and aligned with the state government's development priorities. Describing the Union Budget as well-balanced and forward-looking, he said it reflects India's self-reliance and will consolidate the country's position in manufacturing. The Union Budget is forward-looking and aligns with the state government's development priorities, Naidu said, addressing a press conference here. City-based hospitals on Sunday welcomed key healthcare provisions in the Union Budget, highlighting the potential benefits for patients from India and neighboring countries. Hospital authorities said the rupees 10,000 crore Biopharma Shakti initiative announced in the budget could boost domestic biologics and biosimilars production, reduce import dependence, and strengthen India's global life sciences presence. Kolkata serves patients from Nepal, Bhutan, Myanmar, Bangladesh, and the entire Northeast. This budget could make advanced healthcare more accessible for those who currently lack it. Techno India DAMA Hospital Medical Superintendent Dr. MS Purketh said. The ruling dispensations of Tamil Nadu and Kerala, two key poll-bound southern states, on Sunday expressed strong dissatisfaction over the budgetary announcements made by Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, with Chief Minister M.K. Stalin wondering why his state TN, that is Tamil Nadu, was not given something even in the election year. While his Kerala counterpart accused the centre of negotiating the state, the CMs of the two non-BJP ruled states lashed out at Sitharaman, with Kerala Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan charging her with deliberately overlooking the fact that Kerala is also part of India's map. As Tamil Nadu gears for the assembly elections, we expected, at least this year, that the state would be visible to the eyes of the Union BJP government and our voices will be heard by them. However, this year too, the BJP government has delivered only disappointment, Stalin, the DMK president, said in a statement in Chennai. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman on Sunday announced measures to boost manufacturing, offer long-term tax incentives for global data centers, and support for agriculture and tourism as she unveiled rupees 53.5 lakh crore union budget for 2026-27 seen as a long-term blueprint for sustaining growth amid rising global risks. Shunning populist measures despite five key states, including West Bengal and Tamil Nadu, heading to polls, the budget signaled continued fiscal consolidation and infrastructure spending. But a hike in securities transaction tax on equity derivatives rattled equity markets with key indices plunging as much as 2% in the special budget day trading session before recovering some ground. A total of rupees 3,400 crore is the budgetary estimate for the Ministry of Minority Affairs in the Union budget this year, which is rupees 50 crore more than the budgetary estimate of the previous financial year and about rupees 1,240 crore more than the revised estimate of 2025-26. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman presented the budget for the financial year 2026-27 on today. In the previous budget, rupees 3,350 crore was the estimate for the ministry, although the revised estimate was rupees 2,160.45 crore. Global and domestic defense giants on Sunday welcomed India's whopping defense outlay of rupees 7.85 lakh crore, saying it is in line with geostrategic realities and will boost the combat prowess of the military. The nearly 22% hike in capital budget, combined with the government's decision to scrap basic customs duty on components and parts for production of civilian and other aircraft, is being seen by the industry as a major move. Ankur Kanaglekar, the vice president of Thales India operations, said the defense outlay seeks to reinforce the nation's commitment to modernize and strengthening the armed forces. Senior Congress leader Shashi Tharoor on Sunday used a cricketing analogy to express his disappointment with the union budget, saying Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman seems to have missed the ball. In an interview with PTI at the news agency's headquarters, Tharoor said Sitharaman's budget speech seems to have lots of subheadings but very few specifics and was completely short of an overall vision. As, as a Kerala MP, Shashi Tharoor said he had nothing to be happy about in this budget.
Thoughts on the budget speech just got over. Your initial impressions, your comments.
I think by recent year standards, it was a fairly short speech and seemed to have lots of subheadings and very few specifics. So it's very difficult to know what to think. I mean, I saw some big picture issues are that there's nothing there that we could hear for the middle class and the lower middle class. There was nothing there for the states. In fact, fiscal devolution remains unchanged at 41%, and many states have been complaining they don't have enough money to fulfill their own obligations to their citizens, to their voters, and that has become a genuine concern. There were very, very few details on things like what's going to be where. So we in Kerala, for example, have been waiting almost 15 years for an All India Institute of Medical Sciences. No announcement came. There was a reference to All India Institutes of Ayurveda.
Central Armed Police Forces and special forces, including the NSG and NDRF, that function under the Union Home Ministry, saw a hike of about 3% in their combined allocations in Union Budget 2026-27. Notably, the Indo-Tibetan Border Police (ITBP), which protects the India-China line of control (LAC), saw the highest increase in allocation among the forces of over 14%, rupees 11,324.08 crore have been earmarked for the ITBP, a jump up from last year's revised allocation of rupees 9,868.85 crore. Country's largest parliamentary organization, Central Reserve Police Force (CRPF), has been granted a fund of rupees 38,517.93 crore with an increase of 3.39% from rupees 37,251.48 crore provided in the revised budget allocation for 25-26. Himachal Pradesh Chief Minister Sukhvinder Singh Sukhu on Sunday expressed disappointment over the Union Budget 2026-27, terming it anti-poor and anti-farmer, and said it ignored the interests of key sections of society as well as concerns of the Hill State. Sukhu said Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has completely overlooked Himachal Pradesh's priorities in the budget. He also raised serious concerns over the recently tabled 16th Finance Commission report for the period 2026-31, particularly its failure to provide meaningful revenue deficit grants (RDGs) to the state despite repeated representations, detailed memoranda, and technical submissions. Odisha Chief Minister Mohan Charan Majhi on Sunday described the union budget as forward-looking and inclusive and asserted that it would boost the state's logistics and industrial ecosystem. Noting that the budget presented by Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman in Parliament earlier in the day focuses on the development of youth and farmers, Majhi said this provides new opportunities for youth, farmers, entrepreneurs, middle class, and recognition for workers. Speaking to reporters at Sonpur during a visit to the district, he said the provisions of the budget clearly aim to accelerate innovation, manufacturing, and employment while strengthening agriculture, rural development, infrastructure, tourism, and culture. The allocation for control of pollution schemes and projects, which includes funding for pollution control boards and the National Clean Air Program (NCAP), has increased in the Union Budget 2026-27. For 2026-27, the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change MoEFCC has been allocated rupees 3,759.46 crore, about rupees 278 crore, or nearly 8% more than the 2025-26 budget estimate of rupees 3,481.61 crore. While the allocation for control of pollution was rupees 853.9 crore in the current fiscal, the amount for 2026-27 has risen to rupees 1,091 crore according to the union budget presented by Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman in the Lok Sabha today. The budget on Sunday sought to give a big boost to the country's manufacturing ecosystem by focusing on 7 strategic and frontier sectors including rare earth, magnets, textiles, semiconductors, and containers. Scaling up of manufacturing is one of the 3 Kartavya announced by Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman in her 9th budget speech to achieve the goal of Viksit Bharat by 2047. The 7 sectors are pharmaceuticals, semiconductor, electronic components, rare earth, permanent magnets, chemicals, capital goods, and textiles. Support for dedicated rare earth corridors and development of turtle trials are among the announcements related to Kerala in Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman's budget speech on Sunday. Kerala will go to the polls in the coming months, and there were expectations that there could be key announcements for the state in the 2026-27 budget. A scheme for rare earth permanent magnets was launched in November 2025. The financial year 2027 budget has proposed that the income tax deduction allowed up to rupees 2 lakh on interest on home loans in case of a self-occupied property would now also include interest payable for the period prior to acquisition or construction of the property. The government will amend Section 22 2 of the Income Tax Act 2025 for this purpose, a move which will ensure continued relief to home loan borrowers under the new tax law effective from April 1, 2026. According to the budget document, Section 22 of the Income Tax Act 2025 deals with deductions in the case of income from house property. Textile sector stocks rallied on Sunday after the government announced the setting up of mega textile parks in a challenge mode with a focus on integrated infrastructure and value addition among a raft of reforms. Shares of Gokaldas exports surged 10.81%. Arvind Limited climbed 5.54%. Vardhaman Textiles jumped 4.61%. Pearl Global Industries went up by 2.48%, and KPR Mill advanced 2.38% on the BSE. Rally in these stocks were in sharp contrast to the weak trend in equities. Andhra Pradesh Chambers on Sunday welcomed the Union Budget 2026 for its growth-oriented measures and reform focus, but expressed concern over limited attention to the state's key priorities. Andhra Pradesh Chambers of Commerce and Industry Federation, Andhra Pradesh Chambers President Potluri Bhaskara Rao said the budget reflects a cautious yet progressive outlook at a time of global economic volatility. The Union Budget 2026 signals a positive reform push, even as critical priorities of Andhra Pradesh remain inadequately covered, Rao said in a release. The government has announced the next edition of India Semiconductor Mission with a broad objective to promote chip manufacturing ecosystem covering equipment, materials, indigenous designs, and other components that are required to produce the high-tech components. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman on Sunday, without announcing the outlay for the scheme, proposed that the India Semiconductor Mission 2.0 will also focus on industry-led research and training centers to develop technology and skilled workforce. India Semiconductor Mission ISM 1.0 expanded India's semiconductor sector capabilities. Building on this, we will launch ISM India Semiconductor Sector India Semiconductor Mission ISM 2.0 to produce equipment and materials designed full stack Indian IP and fortify supply chains, she said. Cement manufacturers on Sunday said the union budget's strong infrastructure push, with public capital expenditure rising to rupees 12.2 lakh crore, recognizes infrastructure as the primary anchor for economic growth and creates positive prospects for the cement sector. Moreover, emphasis on Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities and the creation of city economic regions will accelerate construction activity across housing, transport, and urban services, supporting broad-based cement consumption. Industry body CMA said the budget's strong infrastructure push is improving long-term visibility for the cement sector. The centre has allocated more than rupees 4,869 crore to the Union Territory of Ladakh in the Union Budget 2026-27, a drop of around 33% compared to the revised estimates of rupees 7,377.43 crore for the current fiscal. The Union Territory, which came into existence after the bifurcation of Jammu and Kashmir in 2019, post the abrogation of Article 370, received rupees 4,692.15 crore in the budget estimates for 2025-26. This was revised to rupees 7,377.43 crore, which includes rupees 5,029 crore under revenue and rupees 2,347.73 crore in capital expenses, the budget document said. The budget for 2026-27 has announced a series of measures and provides strong systematic support to the exporting ecosystem by focusing on areas such as manufacturing and trade facilitation. Commerce Secretary Rajesh Agarwal said on Sunday. He said that there are measures for labor incentive, labor intensive as well as high-tech sectors. The focus on logistics and trade facilitation help cut compliance burden and improve India's share in global trade, Agarwal said. India's efforts to enhance its weather forecasting capabilities received a significant boost, with Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman allocating rupees 1,342 crore for Mission Mosam on Sunday. The allocation for the Ministry of Earth Sciences has been set at rupees 3,789.23 crore compared to the revised estimate of rupees 3,380 crore in the 2025-26 budget. The Deep Ocean Mission has been allocated rupees 625 crore, which is lower than the rupees 660 crore allocated in the revised estimates of the previous budget. Terming the union budget disappointing, Congress leader Rajiv Gowda on Sunday said it is lacking in ideas and empathy. Gowda, a former MP and the chairman of the All India Congress Committee AICC Research Department, said Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman's speech reflected the BJP-led government's approach of focusing on rhetoric instead of actual reforms. It is a deeply disappointing budget, especially at this crucial juncture in the global economy. What is revealed today is a government that has run out of ideas and empathy, he told PTI. India has not allocated funds for the Chabahar port project in Iran in the union budget for 2026-27 and has halved the development assistance for Bangladesh to rupees 60 crore in reflection of frosty bilateral ties. Bhutan has been allocated the largest share, rupees 2,288 crore as development aid, followed by rupees 800 crore to Nepal and rupees 550 crore each to the Maldives and Mauritius. The Ministry of External Affairs MEA has been given a total of rupees 22,118 crore as against the current fiscal budget estimate of rupees 20,516 crore and revised estimate of rupees 21,742 crore. UK-focused businesses and global investment experts expressed great optimism around the union budget tabled by Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman in the Lok Sabha on Sunday, describing it as confidence-boosting and progressive in its aims to meet the government's goals set for Viksit Bharat by 2047. The 11.4% hike in infrastructure spending and easing of investment limits was seen as particularly attractive for foreign investors to be able to invest in Indian public equities. Finance services sector incentives such as a 20-year tax holiday were also overwhelmingly welcomed as a sign of a maturing economy projecting its attractiveness over other emerging markets. Air India on Sunday launched the Shanghai Delhi direct flight, resuming its services between the two cities after a gap of about 6 years. The inaugural Shanghai New Delhi flight departed from Shanghai Pudong International Airport carrying over 230 passengers on board. The Boeing 787 aircraft, the Indian consulate in Shanghai said in a press release. The resumption of Air India flights comes after a gap of nearly 6 years and represents a significant milestone in normalizing bilateral air connectivity following the suspension of services in early 2020. At least 145 terrorists and 17 security personnel have been killed in the last 40 hours in multiple counter-terrorism operations in the Resti Balochistan province, Chief Minister Sarfraz Bugti said on Sunday. Bugti, in a press conference in Quetta, said that the bodies of all the 145 terrorists were in the custody of the authorities and their identification process was being carried out. He said this was the highest number of terrorists killed in less than 2 days ever since security forces launched a war against terror in the province. There is a mounting pressure this weekend on Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, Britain's scandal-hit former prince, whose royal status was revoked by his brother King Charles III, to testify before a US committee investigating the extent of the crimes of convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. A second woman has alleged that she was flown to the UK by Epstein for a sexual encounter with then Prince Andrew at his Royal Lodge residence on the Windsor Castle estate back in 2010. Andrew, who has consistently denied wrongdoing, is yet to comment on the latest accusations. Sunetra sworn in as Deputy CM of Maharashtra. A day after the conclusion of the 3-day state mourning for late Nationalist Congress Party (NCP) leader Ajit Pawar, who died in an air crash in Baramati on January 28, his wife Sunetra Pawar was sworn in as the Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra at a brief ceremony in Mumbai on Saturday evening. She is the first woman to occupy the post in the state. India denies Epstein claim of US role in PM's 2017 Israel visit. The center on Saturday denied the contents of newly released emails from the late financier of sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, which claimed that US President Donald Trump had played a role in Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Israel in 2027, referring to the mails as trashy ruminations by a convicted criminal. Ending the violence in the Gaza Strip is a shared priority for the world, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar said on Saturday, welcoming representatives and ministers at the second India-Arab Foreign Ministers meeting. Delivering the inaugural address at the meeting, Mr. Jaishankar India's expressed India's support for ending the violence in Gaza as well as in other regions such as Sudan, Libya, and Lebanon. El Nino may occur after July, clear picture to emerge after April. There is a chance that the El Nino phenomenon, a warming of the Central Pacific Ocean frequently linked to weak monsoon rainfall in India, may occur after July, but clarity will only emerge in April, says M. Mohapatra, Director General of the India Meteorological Department (IMD). ENSO neutral conditions are likely to persist until July, and there is a probability it might move towards El Nino conditions, he said on Saturday in his monthly briefing on expected weather conditions in India's in February. An El Nino is defined as the central equatorial Pacific heating on average at least half a degree warmer than the average for 5 consecutive overlapping 3 month periods. Historically, 6 out of 10 El Nino years have been linked to depressed rainfall over India. The El Nino is the converse of the La Nina, a half degree cooling, and the two are cyclical phenomena. The last global El Nino was during 2027-24, a year that saw rainfall below normal levels in India. Four migrant workers from Assam working in a private company were found dead under mysterious circumstances inside a labor shed in Mutsandra village of Hoskote Taluk on the outskirts of Bengaluru on Saturday. The Madras High Court has decided to seek the assistance of artificial intelligence to help it save time by retrieving relevant information from voluminous documents in a commercial dispute between Mumbai-based Gavon OGSC. So these were today's some of important pieces of news. For such pieces of news, such important news, please subscribe my channel. थैंक यू, धन्यवाद। चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करना ना भूलें।